Hello, guys. Pete Onofrio back again with my dear friend Andy Pollock, once again in the studio.
Hey.
Big talk from the little house. Today we were discussing, we just wanted to turn this on, cameras on today because we were talking about serendipity and how things, once we get out of our own way or our story and we loosen up a little bit, things start to flow. Could you tell me, remind me a little bit of that story to Red Rocks we went to?
Pete and I had planned one time. We were going to go to Colorado, down to Denver, and I had a friend down there at the time who was starting up a coffee business, and I don't even know if he was starting it up then, but so Pete and I said, Pete, you want to just go down to let's go to Denver, and we went, and the beginning of our trip, we are on the way to the airport. Pete looks at his phone and he says,
Chicago airport is closed down because of a train wreck.
A train apparently didn't stop and went entirely through the train station into the airport. Everything was shut down.
Consequently shutting the airport down.
Yeah. I remember looking at Pete looking at me. I'm like, okay, let's arrive at the airport to find Matt. Wait here for our trip to Boulder. We are having it's a preamble to what is to come, and we can only imagine what that will be. Roll with it. We got on a flight in moments, and in fact, rather than having to stop at Chicago, ended up with a direct flight, and got there totally probably ahead of time. And what I remember significantly about this trip was that time after time we'd find ourselves in situations where we'd say, like, how do these things keep happening that are just incredible? And it was puzzling for a while, but I remember we went to rent the car. Remember
Yeah, we had some economy car that they were going to stuff two big guys in. It was like a Zuzu, or it was something tiny.
The smallest, cheapest one I could find.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got there and they said, oh, I'm sorry, sir, we don't have any more of those left. But how would you like this brand new Mustang?
Yeah, red. Was it a Corvette or a Mustang?
I think it was a Mustang.
Brand new red Firebird or something. It was amazing.
Convertible. We'll give it to you for the same price.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we can do that. Yeah. And that was just another one. And then we're hanging out with Kevin one night and we're like, okay. Kevin had this ice cream place. He's like, you got to go get ice cream at this place. This is the place to get ice cream. And we were pretty hungry, as I called. Yeah.
Yeah, we get there and the place was closed.
It was closed and we're looking in the window. And the guy that's closing up looks up and he comes over the door. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry, we're closed. And we're like, oh, that's cool. He's like, come in.
Yeah.
And he asked each of us what we wanted, and we got these super duper cones and sundaes and ice cream.
Yeah.
And we went to pay him. He's like, nah, cash register's already closed.
Cash register's closed. You take those ice creams for free. Yeah, that was amazing.
At this point, we're looking at each other going, how does this keep happening?
Yeah.
And I think it was you that said to me, like, maybe when we're home and we're caught in our preoccupation with the kids and the job and what we got to do and running on that hamster wheel, that these larger synchronicities that are perhaps there are unseen because we're not in a place where we're able to be connected to it.
Right.
And I think there's something to that.
Well, I think the message that came across to me when we were bringing this story up is we're not our stories, and we prop ourselves up with our titles and our accomplishments and our failures. And then we get behind those stories and we almost like a shield walk forward into the now with a definition of what we may or may not in fact be. And when you're traveling and you can get outside,
and you've done a lot of traveling.
Well, yeah. Well, if you're lucky enough to travel or even just get out and go, just do something different. Even on the weekend, you can go to a state park or somewhere, go for a walk. But you get out there and you just open yourself up and kind of try to let go of your story. That's when I believe the magic starts to float in, at least the ability to see the magic in a different way.
Yeah. So we had some other magical experiences as well. So we including playing
Right, at Red Rocks.
At Red Rocks.
Right. I've yeah.
This was, and it's a great story because, you know, we just looked, you know, I had brought my guitar. Pete had his portable slide dig, and you had the iPad with the synthesizer on it.
I had some beats and some synthesizers on my iPad, and then I had the slide didgeridoo. Yep.
Yeah, and so we said, let's play Red Rocks. Well, we stopped to get something to eat in Denver, and we're sitting around at the bar with a bunch of people, and Pete starts talking about how we're this band from Connecticut.
Yeah. The Now Machine, which we do have a band called the Now Machine, but we were talking it up, saying, yeah, we're gonna play Red Rocks tonight. We told that a couple of people at the bar, and they're like, really? I didn't know anybody was playing there tonight.
And so we took our stuff and we proceeded to Red Rocks.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have such big sound, a big theater, and you got really got small in your ears. You gotta come right in. Bring your flute. That's it. We can still like. Yeah. Bring your flute. Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding. I just feel like it's gonna get chilly, and I want to do a pipe before we go. Yeah. We should do a pipe. Pipe would be.
Theater, and I had a Native American flute with me too, that drone flute.
That's right.
And there was a person that was sitting way in the back of the amphitheater, and they could hear it clear as a bell.
And if you've never been to Red Rocks, this amphitheater goes up.
Yeah, way up.
And it's embedded in rock. It's just, you are at the bottom of this beautiful formation of rock that is ancient. It's magical, and it's powerful. Anybody that's been there will tell you that. So here we are again in this other like amazing moment.
Having an amazing moment, just blissing on the now. Yep.
And then security comes down.
Yeah, I'm like, here comes a guy that looks like he's authoritative. What's he gonna say? Right?
And we just keep playing. Like, I just ignore the man in the security suit until he came like right up to us and was like, "Excuse me,
what are you guys doing here? We heard that someone was going to be putting an impromptu concert on this evening, and there's no.
Our Denver office tells us that there's a unsolicited, whatever show," and we were just like, "Oh my God, word travels fast."
Yeah, well, the energy that we were putting out while we were there was pretty intoxicating, and people must have been talking, and so it got back to the headquarters, and the guy came down and saw us, and he was like, "Is this all that's going on here?"
And we just kept talking to him and kind of, just saying, we come in peace. And
yeah, he quickly let us off the hook. He's like, "That's okay. What you guys are doing is fine," because he got wind of it, that it was going to be a much bigger event.
Yeah, so that was just another one of those
manifestations. It's what it is it's like you put your thought, word, and action, like we were talking about in the last time you were on, when Sequoia talks about every thought, word, and action, and you will manifest. This is a manifesty reality, where it's a particle and it's a wave.
Exactly.
And if we can't, just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. You can literally talk and think something into being, like we did with that trip to Colorado.
We did. So again, do these synchronicities happen all the time? I think it's what we're trying to say here is that the likelihood of these things are occurring are when we are clear of the things that are preoccupying our consciousness. Our consciousness is an act of creation, and if it's preoccupied with gunk, that's where our energy is. So the thought that in those moments where our minds are allowed to be open and free, that there are things that we're meant to be connected to that we often miss because of our preoccupation.
Kendro Lodro Tae Rinpoche, we've spoke about him on the program before, Rinpoche. He says that we need to be vigilant with our thoughts, because otherwise it's like the brain will take us on a walk, just like we walk a dog on a leash.
We've all been on those walks.
Yeah, and
down the rabbit holes.
And the dog could become our own brain on a leash if we're not careful. Like, where's this dog going? you know, and that's literally our brain. And I love when we can get into these conversations where you start to put a higher perspective on your thoughts. It's like you're not just thinking, what am I going to say next? What did I say? What am I going to do? What did I do? It's not, you can feel your brain processing the way it does, like a muscle. 1 + 1 is 2, or there's the doorknob. I open and I walk outside. I watch out. I got to look both ways before I cross the street. But when you're able to put it in neutral, and you're not, and one of the questions I've heard framed was, in order to calm your mind, is you think the thought, what am I going to think next?
The big talk from the little house.
Yeah.
Raising the vibration of the planet one podcast at a time.
There you have it, folks. Raising the vibration of the planet one thought at a time. If you have anything that you would like to share, or questions you'd like us to discuss, or if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, please tune in, type us a note, send us an email, and we'd love to have you here. Andy, thanks again for coming on the program.
I love being here, and thank you for actually manifesting this amazingness.
Can't wait for the next episode. Stay tuned. Abby White's coming back, and we're going to talk about the direction of the program. Thanks again, guys, and stay well. Be happy.